The afternoon sun painted the sky with shades of orange and pink as Jessica closed the door to the makeshift studio in the guest room. Her fingers were stained with paint, and a subtle smile played on her lips. She had spent the last few hours immersed in her newest creation. Jessica always had a natural talent for the arts, but for a long time this gift lay dormant, overshadowed by her husband Mitchell's brilliant career. He was a renowned motivational speaker, constantly traveling across the country to inspire crowds with his words of wisdom and encouragement. Jessica accompanied him on all his trips, taking care of every detail so that he could shine on stage. While Mitchell was applauded, Jessica remained backstage, adjusting his tie, checking the presentation script, ensuring everything was perfect. She found satisfaction in being the support that allowed her husband to reach ever greater heights. However, a part of her longed for something more, a desire she hardly dared to admit to herself. It was on a quiet night a few years ago that Mitchell found Jessica doodling absent-mindedly on a notepad while they were watching a movie. Curious, he asked what she was drawing. Jessica, a bit embarrassed, showed him a delicate sketch of a landscape. Mitchell was amazed by his wife's skill, and at that moment, a seed was planted. Encouraged by her husband's enthusiasm, Jessica began to dedicate more time to her art. At first, it was just stolen moments between household chores and Mitchell's business trips, but soon, the guest room was transformed into a small studio where she could express herself freely through colors and shapes. Far from feeling threatened by his wife's new interest, Mitchell became her greatest supporter. He made sure to buy the best materials. They would hang each new piece together in the living room, and he constantly encouraged her to show her work to the world. "You have a gift, Jessica," he often said, his eyes shining with pride. "Your paintings touch people's souls. The world needs to see this." Jessica, however, hesitated. Years of being in the background had left their mark, and the idea of exposing herself seemed frightening. "What if no one likes it?" she asked insecurely. Mitchell always responded with a gentle smile. "Impossible. Your talent is undeniable. But even if someone doesn't like it, that doesn't diminish the value of what you create. Art is subjective, but your passion and dedication are indisputable." Slowly, Jessica began to gain confidence. She started by participating in small local exhibitions where her works were warmly praised. With each event, her heart filled a little more with courage and determination. One day, while tidying up the studio, Jessica found a flyer about a large contemporary art exhibition in the capital. For a moment, she considered the idea of applying, but quickly dismissed the thought, convinced that her work was not up to the standard of such a prestigious event. Mitchell, noticing his wife's hesitation, took the brochure and, without her knowing, entered 3 of her best works. Weeks passed, and Jessica had practically forgotten about it until a letter arrived. "Jessica, my love!" Mitchell shouted from the living room, holding the envelope with hands trembling with excitement. "You won't believe it!" Jessica ran to see what had gotten her husband so worked up. When she read the contents of the letter, her eyes widened with surprise and emotion. One of her paintings had been selected for the exhibition, and she was the guest of honor for the opening night. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions. Jessica oscillated between euphoria and terror. Mitchell, always by her side, reassured and encouraged her. "You deserve this, Jessica," he said, holding her hands. "It's the recognition of your talent and dedication. I'm so proud of you." On the night of the exhibition, Jessica looked at herself in the mirror, hardly recognizing the woman reflected there. She wore a dress in the vibrant colors she loved to use in her paintings, her hair down framing her radiant face. Mitchell, impeccable in his suit, watched her with admiration. "You look stunning," he whispered, kissing her softly. "Ready to shine?" Jessica took a deep breath, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. "With you by my side, I'm ready for anything." The couple arrived at the exhibition venue, an impressive cultural center in the heart of the city. The buzz of voices and the clinking of glasses created an atmosphere of anticipation. Jessica squeezed Mitchell's hand, seeking comfort in his familiar touch. They approached the entrance, where a security guard was checking invitations. Jessica presented hers, her heart racing at the sight of her name printed in golden letters. Guest of honor. The guard smiled, gesturing for her to enter. However, when Mitchell made a move to follow her, the man politely stopped him. Sorry, sir. Only the lady is on the guest list. A momentary silence hung in the air. Mitchell, always gracious, smiled understandingly. Oh, it's all right. Jessica, darling, go ahead. This is your night. But Jessica didn't move. She looked at her husband, then at the security guard, and finally back at Mitchell. In that instant, all the years of unconditional support, silent encouragement, devoted love flashed through her mind. With a firm voice that surprised even herself, Jessica addressed the security guard. He is with me. After a moment of reflection, he nodded with an understanding smile. I understand, ma'am. Please come in and have a great evening. As they passed through the doors of the cultural centre, Mitchell held Jessica's hand, his eyes shining with pride and love. You are amazing. Did you know that? He whispered. Jessica smiled, feeling truly in her element for the first time. We are amazing together. The exhibition was a dazzling display of colours, shapes and textures. Renowned national and international artists showcased their works, creating an environment of pure artistic expression. In the centre of one of the main rooms, Jessica's painting stood out, the painting of the elderly couple in the autumn park. As they walked through the space, Jessica was surprised by the looks of admiration and the complimentary comments about her work. Art critics, collectors, and other artists approached to congratulate her, asking questions about her technique and inspiration. Mitchell stood by her side, a step behind, watching with pride as his wife shone. He watched her grow in confidence with each interaction, her voice becoming firmer, her gestures more assured as she explained the creative process behind her painting. In a quiet moment, when they had stepped a little away from the crowd, Mitchell leaned towards Jessica and whispered, See? I always knew you had it in you. I'm so happy to see the world finally recognizing your talent. Jessica hugged him tightly, tears of happiness shining in her eyes. Thank you for always believing in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. The night passed like a dream. Jessica was invited to give a brief speech where she spoke about her artistic journey and the importance of support and love in her life. She made sure to mention Mitchell, publicly thanking him for his constant encouragement. When the exhibition came to an end, the couple left the cultural centre hand in hand, slowly walking through the city's illuminated streets. The night air was fresh, filled with possibilities. How are you feeling? Mitchell asked, observing his wife's radiant face. Jessica took a deep breath, absorbing everything that had happened. Fulfilled, grateful, a little scared of what lies ahead, but mostly happy. Very happy. Mitchell smiled, pulling her closer. You deserve every moment of this, my love. Jessica nodded, feeling a wave of love and gratitude. You know, for years I saw myself as your shadow, always in the background. But today I realized it was never like that for you, was it? Mitchell stopped, turning to face her. Never. You have always been my light, Jessica, my inspiration. Seeing you shine today, it was the proudest moment of my life. They kissed there, under the starry sky, two hearts beating in sync. In that moment, they were no longer the famous speaker and his wife behind the scenes. They were simply Mitchell and Jessica, partners in life and dreams. In the months that followed, Jessica and Mitchell's lives went through a transformation. The success of the exhibition opened doors that Jessica had never imagined possible. Invitations for other shows began to arrive, art galleries expressed interest in her work, and even private collectors reached out wanting to acquire her pieces. Mitchell, far from feeling overshadowed by his wife's growing recognition, embraced this new phase with enthusiasm. He rearranged his lecture schedule to accompany her to important events, always ready to offer support and encouragement. One afternoon, while Jessica was working in her studio on a new series of paintings, Mitchell entered quietly, watching her with admiration. She was so absorbed in her work that she didn't immediately notice his presence. Her movements were fluid, the brush dancing across the canvas with confidence and passion. "You look so at peace when you paint," Mitchell commented softly, causing Jessica to turn with a smile. "It's because I am," she replied, setting the brush aside and moving closer to her husband. "You know, sometimes I still wonder how we got here." Mitchell wrapped his arms around her, planting a loving kiss on her forehead. "We got here together, my love. Step by step, dream by dream." Jessica snuggled into her husband's embrace, reflecting on the journey they had undertaken. "I remember when I started painting in secret, afraid you would think it was a waste of time." Mitchell laughed softly. "And I remember when I found your first sketches and was amazed. I knew from the beginning that you had a special gift." "You always saw the best in me," Jessica whispered, moved. "Even when I doubted myself." "And I always will," Mitchell replied with conviction. "Because the best of you, Jessica, is not just in the canvases you paint. It's in your heart, your kindness, the way you see the world and transform it into art." They stood there, embraced in the studio full of colours and light, two hearts united not just by love, but by mutual respect and an admiration that only grew with time. That night, as they dined on the home porch watching the sunset, Jessica had an idea. "Mitchell," she began, a glimmer of excitement in her eyes, "what do you think about us doing something together? Something that combines our passions?" Mitchell tilted his head, intrigued. "What do you mean?" "Well, you have the gift of words, and I have the gift of images. What if we created a project that combines the two? Maybe an illustrated book, or an exhibition that mixes your motivational quotes with my paintings?" Mitchell's face lit up with the idea. "Jessica, that's brilliant! It could be a way to inspire people in a completely new way." In the following months, the couple worked side by side on this new project. Mitchell wrote short and powerful texts, and Jessica interpreted them visually on her canvases. The result was a unique collection of art and words that deeply touched those who saw it. When the project was finally unveiled to the public, it was received with enthusiasm and emotion. Critics praised the synergy between Mitchell's words and Jessica's images, commenting on how each element complemented and amplified the other. In a joint interview about the project, a journalist asked how they managed to maintain such a solid marriage while both pursued successful careers. Jessica and Mitchell exchanged a knowing glance before responding. It was Jessica who spoke. "The secret is that we've never seen our careers as a competition. It has always been a partnership. When one of us shines, the other feels equally fulfilled. Mitchell's success has always been my success too, and now he feels the same with my achievements in art." Mitchell nodded, adding, "Exactly. And more than that, we've learned that true success isn't in the applause or awards, but in the happiness we find together, in the fulfillment of our shared dreams." The journalist smiled, visibly touched by the response. "It seems like you've found the formula for true and lasting love." Jessica and Mitchell looked at each other again, their eyes reflecting years of love, companionship, and mutual support. "It's not a formula," Jessica said softly. "It's a choice we make every day. The choice to love, to support, to believe in each other. And to grow together," Mitchell added. "Because when we encourage each other to be the best version of ourselves, we both shine, no matter who is in the spotlight at the moment." As they left the interview, hand in hand as they always did, Jessica and Mitchell knew they had found something rare and precious. A love that not only withstands the changes of life but flourishes with them. A love that is, in itself, a constantly evolving work of art, painted by 4 hands, day by day, with the vibrant colours of trust, respect, and mutual admiration. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.